hear from police officials live, who we are expecting to get an update on the current situation. We do have 35th and Burleigh. That is where a beauty store, we have been told, was on fire as well, and there were reports that other structures in the city may be on fire due to this crowd, all within about a 10-block radius.
Right. So it could be what we're seeing is the calm in this area, but things have moved to a different area that we cannot see right now. Hopefully at midnight they will be able to have the news conference. You know, hopefully things are not, you know, to the point.
Here we go, and let's take the news conference live.
Okay.
At approximately 4 o'clock this afternoon, I was contacted by the Milwaukee Police regarding an officer-involved shooting. I traveled to the scene at 44th and Hour, talked to the command staff there, and here's what we know about the shooting. Police spotted a suspicious vehicle, and they stopped the vehicle. As they stopped the vehicle, 2 individuals fled from the vehicle. One started heading west, the second one started heading east. A Milwaukee police officer with 6 years' experience started chasing the individual who was running to the east. He ordered that individual to drop his gun. The individual did not drop his gun, held the gun, or I shouldn't say, I don't know that for a fact, but had the gun with him. And the officer fired several times. The individual was hit in the chest and hit in the arm. He was hit by 2 bullets, one in the chest, one in the arm. That individual, who's a 23-year-old man, has died. The officer was wearing a body camera. It is my understanding that the body camera was operating. Because it involved the Milwaukee Police and because an individual was killed, the investigation is being led by the state of Wisconsin. So the state of Wisconsin will be the one that will have access to that film from the body camera and is the one that is now undergoing the investigation. As you all know from what happened from that point, things deteriorated. When I left the scene, which was probably a little after 5 o'clock, there was still calm at that scene. Later in the evening, as we all now know, things got out of hand. We know that there were individuals using Facebook and other social media devices, or whatever you want to call them, that let individuals know that they should congregate in this area. The crowd grew. When the police exited the area where they had it blockaded, essentially at Sherman Boulevard and Hour, a group of individuals started going west on Hour, turned right on 44th Street, and at that point destroyed an automobile. That police automobile was destroyed. There was another automobile on Sherman Boulevard that was destroyed. 2 police vehicles also had their windows broken out. There was an individual, a police command staff in one of those individuals. He was not injured. There was, however, a police officer who was injured when a windshield was broken, presumably in the second car. I don't know that for sure. That officer is now in the hospital. I believe that officer has a head injury. I don't know how serious that injury is. As you all saw, the crowd then went over to the gas station and set the gas station afire. I don't know how many individuals were involved in that. Of course, that's going to be part of the investigation as well. Just on the elevator coming down from upstairs, I was told that the firefighters are now on that scene. As you all know, the firefighters did not go immediately to the gas station because gunshots throughout this entire period were being fired in this area. And it's the practice, which I fully support, for the firefighters, that they are not going to put themselves in a situation where they're going to be victims of gunfire. The police, I think also, as you saw tonight on the news, have shown an amazing amount of restraint. 3 arrests is the last figure that I saw that had been made. What happened was, and there'll be a question as to what the police activity was, There was concern about police officer safety as well. And I am also very, very, very concerned about police officer safety. What the police officers did is that they regrouped. They got some vehicles that would make it much safer for them to go. My understanding is one from the police department, one from the sheriff's department, one from Waukesha County, the Bearcats, that allowed the police then to move forward to try to restore order. That has been happening. Again, I think there are still pockets of individuals that are moving around. Subsequent to that, as you probably have seen, there were fires that were set, we believe, on 35th and Burleigh. The O'Reilly Auto Repair Shop, Auto Parts Shop, a beauty salon, the BMO Harris branch there. There are fires at those 3 locations. A couple things that I want to add. The reason the police chief is not here is because his mother-in-law was buried today. She passed away. He is in Dallas with his family for that. The second thing that I think people should know, if you're a mother who is watching this right now and your young son or daughter is not home and you think they're in this area, get them home right now. Get them home right now. This is a serious situation, and this is a neighborhood that has unfortunately been affected by violence in the recent past. I know this neighborhood very, very well, and there are a lot of really, really good people who live in this area, in the Sherman Park area, who can't stand, just like any of us can't stand this violence. And they want to have order restored. Our police officers are doing everything they can right now to restore order. We have lots and lots of police officers there. The firefighters, now again, they are fighting the fire, as I said earlier, that was set at O'Reilly Auto Parts, and just within the last few minutes, they have entered the scene at the BP on Burleigh and Sherman, and they feel it is now safe to work on that fire. There were 3 individuals who were in that gas station. All 3 of those individuals were able to get out of the gas station safely before it went up in flames. But this is a situation where we are asking every resident of this community to do everything they can to help us restore order. And that means, again, and this is pointed directly at parents of young people, because you can see from the video there are a lot of young people who are congregating here. If you love your son, if you love your daughter, text them, call them, pull them by the ears, and get them home. Get them home right now before more damage is done. Because we do not want to see any more loss of life. We don't want to see any more injuries, and we're going to stay on this. Our police presence is going to be very strong. We're going to work with the community, and tomorrow we'll be meeting again with church leaders and community leaders because we're going to make an all-out effort to do everything we can to restore order. And this is something that is important to me as mayor. It's important to the city. And I want you to know that this is something that we're going to continue to work on very, very hard. We are joined by several aldermen, including the President of the Common Council, Ashante Hamilton. I'm going to ask him to say a few words as well. Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Listen, our city is in turmoil tonight, and we all have to work together to restore a sense of calm to this neighborhood. And so we're calling on everyone. We're calling on everyone to do what they possibly can to help restore calm in these neighborhoods. Now, we understand the frustration that many people feel with the police-community relation situation that's happening nationally. But what we want to be able to do is to gather the information. And you have to understand that when we get some information, we're going to share it with the public. There's nothing to hide. We want to make sure that all of the information is going out to people in a timely manner. And we have to go through the process of finding justice. But we have to be able to restore order to these neighborhoods. I want you to think about the neighborhoods that these situations are happening in. So collectively, we want to call on community members to please participate in restoring order to these neighborhoods. All right? We have a lot of officers and a lot of resources going into these neighborhoods right now. A whole lot more is going to go into it to help restore the calm in these neighborhoods, but we have to do it together, all right? We have Alderman Stamper here and Alderwoman Chantier Lewis is here. We've talked with Alderman Rainey, who represents the district. All of them are trying to work extremely hard to try to take care of the concerns that people have about what happened with this officer-involved shooting. But we want you to know that we're going to push to keep information coming to the public so that there's no need for you to feel as if anything is being hidden from the public. So please allow the process to work. Allow the investigation to work, and the information will be shared with the public. All right, and then, Mayor?
Again, right now, we have to have calm. We have to have calm in this neighborhood. There are a lot of really good people who live in this neighborhood, and we're going to do everything we can. So I want to thank the President, the Alderman, Alderwoman. I spoke to Alderman Rainey several times tonight, Alderwoman Coggs. They're very cognizant of what's going on and concerned as well. I don't know if either of the Deputy Chiefs or Assistant Chiefs have anything you want to add.
If there's any questions.
If there's any questions, we're happy to answer any questions.
Can you talk about the arrests that were made tonight?
So what I can tell you right now is that we have made 3 arrests. At this point, I can't tell you what those are for. Tomorrow, we're going to have much more information on the number of arrests, what those arrests were for, officers injured, some other information that you might be interested in.
Do you anticipate more arrests?
Yeah, it depends on the circumstances, and it depends on the behavior of the people that we're, encountering right now. It appears that at this point we have been able to regain stability. There are still a lot of people out, and it's still a very tense situation for us. But at this point, we've seen a number of individuals leave the area, and I think we're doing okay right now.
Sure.
Let me just add. We'll be reviewing all the video from the gas station, the video surrounding the area, and if we know who's causing these fires or destroying this property, we certainly are going to. I'm certainly doing everything I can to make sure that those individuals are arrested and prosecuted.
Can I just say, Sherman Park is a highly concentrated area of homes. What do you tell people right now who are fearful in their homes right in that area?
We tell them that we have a strong police presence there. We're going to have a strong police presence there tomorrow. We're going to do everything we can, and we are going to make sure that order is restored in this very, very good neighborhood. This is a neighborhood where there's a lot of people who have lived there 30, 40, 50 years. They deserve to live in a safe neighborhood, and we're going to do everything we can to make that possible.
Mayor, when you watch this tonight, like maybe I did too, is it hard to believe that this is Milwaukee that you're seeing on the news?
It's not the Milwaukee that anyone wants to see, and it's the Milwaukee that I think you look at the national news. But I want to stress this again. I want to just stress this very, very, very strongly because I think there's a lot of questions out there. This stop took place because 2 officers who were there to make sure that there is order in this neighborhood, and they felt there was suspicious activity going on. As it turned out, 2 individuals, the gun was a stolen gun. The officer didn't know it at the time, but there were 23 rounds in that gun. 23 rounds in the gun that officer was staring at. And I want to make sure that we don't lose any police officers in this community either. And that's something that has to be a concern as we stand here tonight.
Chief, how many people were at the scene at the height, would you say, at the disturbance?
It's difficult to say at this point. We've had estimates of anywhere from 200 to 800. I think 800 was, kind of on the high end. But the crowd grew rapidly. The use of social media, as the mayor mentioned, to, get additional people to the scene, was amazing just how in such a short period of time, how many people actually showed up. I also think it's really important to note that the neighborhood itself where the shooting occurred was not the source of the individuals that arrived. Individuals came from other places. The neighborhood itself, the block that this incident occurred on, was very calm, and the residents on that block were very respectful and courteous and polite and allowed the police to conduct the investigation did not interfere and were helpful with information as we had several witnesses.
Any sense of how many gunshots were fired during the course of
We are going to analyze that because we do have the shot spotter system in the city. I can tell you that there were multiple gunshots fired from the time that we began to deactivate the scene. Myself and Chief Jessup were present when gunshots were fired initially, and certainly that then changed how the police responded to this situation as gunshots were continued to be fired from various locations.
Can you give us a sense of how many officers were on the scene, have been on the scene tonight?
We have extended shifts. We have called officers who are part of our major incident response team in from home. I can't tell you exactly how many officers we have right now at this scene, but we have a very large deployment of officers.
Assistant Chief, with so many officers needed out at the scene where this is happening, what is happening in the rest of the city? I'm sure there are other reports being made and needed to be taken in other areas. How are you guys dealing with that right now?
We're monitoring the situation across the city right now. Upstairs in our communications center, we have our supervisors paying very close attention to the calls for service in the rest of the city. We still have officers patrolling the rest of the city. Like I said, we've extended officers on their shifts so that the incoming shifts are available to take calls for service. We've called officers in from home. We've tried to, keep the burden on the current patrol force as minimal as possible so that they can continue to police our city and keep our neighborhoods safe.
And I want to stress again, the extended hours, I was in my police vehicle when the call came that all hours were going to be extended. So that was something that happened earlier in the evening.
Can you speak to the age of the individuals arrested? You said there were a lot of juveniles out there. Are these juveniles that were arrested?
The information I have right now is that we've arrested 3 people. Again, tomorrow we'll be able to give much further information on the arrest and if there are any additional arrests that are made tonight.
Will neighboring jurisdictions be helping out with any policing or possibly National Guard?
The Milwaukee County Sheriff's Department has been a partner for the Milwaukee Police Department in these type of events. We do have resources from the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Department. As the mayor mentioned, the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department provided their Bearcat. Right now, those are the only outside agencies we've called upon, and at this point, there is no need to call in any additional resources from any other agencies. We do have the resources to manage this at this point.
Alderwoman Lewis, if you could step up for a moment, what are you thinking as you're standing here tonight? Because I know you've worked hard in the community to try to broaden police and community relations, and I know you've done a lot of things in your time in office already. What are you thinking tonight as you look forward beyond this, towards tomorrow? What's your first step tomorrow morning?
Wow, that's a question that I'm still running through my mind. I would definitely say that as a mom, I would want to make sure that we're getting a handle on our young people from parent to child. So I would definitely echo the mayor's sentiments in saying if you know your child isn't at home right now, go get them. Be proactive, go get them, bring them back into the house and keep them there. Talk to them and see what's going on. But other than that, that's just, I'm still trying to get a handle on it myself. So, yeah.
Mayor, can I ask you, what are your plans for keeping the city safe maybe in the next 24 to 48 hours as far as would there be a curfew issued? I'm
going to continue to work with the police. We're going to make sure that it's going to be safe. We're going to make sure that this city is safe. And I'm going to follow a lot of the advice that I hear from them. I'm going to have strong input, obviously. But we're going to monitor the situation. We're hoping that, as it is now, that things are calming down. But we don't know for certain. And we're going to do what's necessary to make sure that this is a safe city. So, again, we'll be talking about tomorrow morning what steps will be taken tomorrow.
So at this point, no curfew?
At this point, no curfew. But again, parents, get your kids home.
You spoke about meeting up with different community leaders and church leaders. Can you tell us any of those conversations that have been had so far?
Well, I know all the members of the Common Council here have been in contact with community members, and I think that there's a widespread belief that we have to have more and more and more people who are engaged in this because of the seriousness of the issue.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
That was a press conference with city leaders, including Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett, who is pleading with parents, get your kids home. If you are a mother or a father and your kid is not in your house tonight, or even if they've gone to stay at a friend's, you need to call them and you need to tell them to get home.
Yeah, he mentioned text, call, or pull them by the ear.
Pull them by the ear. And we saw the Common Council president saying there, our city is in turmoil tonight. We have someone else speaking at the podium right now at the news conference. Let's go back there real quick.
So I'm looking for the text from my best friend. My best friend said, because we're talking about it. So let me find what he said. Our people are hurting. I don't know WTF we are going to do, but we got to do something. I'm the alderman of the 15th district where I was born and raised. I was raised in Sherman Park. I love Sherman Park. I'm fighting tears right now. That's what he said. He's fighting tears. Me too. I'm celebrating with my friend John Dye, who has a pie business called Mr. Dye's Pies. He's very successful. And we're on a celebration tip right now. When the people start setting SHIT on fire, that's because they feel like they can't do anything else. That's what that means. It comes from helplessness, and they put us in office to help. I ran for office to help. We haven't been doing enough. Everybody is playing effing politics, and nobody is playing life. Our people are living and dying on the streets. Where are you from? They don't give a F-U-C-K about politics. That was his statement. My response was, exactly. Our community is in pain. And that's enough for what I'm going to say tonight, but I want to let you know the other side of the situation. God bless this city. I love this city. And Alderman Hamilton, Alderman Rainey, Alderwoman Lewis, the chairwoman, Malele Cox, Alderman Johnson, Perez, the mayor, everybody. We're going to put resources in this budget. I'm on finance. We're going to put resources in this budget, and CBDG is going to work towards organizing these neighborhoods, involving the pastors. Yes, the pastors are a big part of this community. They are the strength of this community. And we're going to partner with people who want to make a difference. Thank you very much.
Khalif Rainey, Alderman of the 7th Aldermanic District. I represent this neighborhood. I represent Sherman Park, in which this officer-involved shooting occurred, and the following incidents ensued. You know, what I can say is this, is that the city has watched this particular neighborhood throughout the entire summer be a powder keg, from incidents in the park, from a murder at the gas station, from a shooting from the gas station owner at children. This entire community has sat back and witnessed how Milwaukee, Wisconsin has become the worst place to live for African Americans in the entire country. Now, this is the warning cry. And where do we go from here? Where do we go as a community from here? Do we continue with the inequities, the injustice, the unemployment, the undereducation that creates these byproducts that we see this evening? Do we continue that? And I thank you, Russell Stamper. I thank you for not letting us leave here without saying the truth. Something has to be done here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin to address these issues. The black people of Milwaukee are tired. They're tired of living under this oppression. This is their existence. This is their life. This is the life of their children. Now, what have happened tonight may have not been right. I'm not justifying that. But no one can deny the fact that there's problems, racial problems, here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, that have to be closely, not examined, but rectified. Rectify this immediately, because if you don't, this vision of downtown, all of that, you one day away. You one day away. Thank you.
And you just heard two aldermen from the city of Milwaukee. That is a perspective we don't always hear following press conferences right in the middle of this turmoil. Khalif Rainey saying this is a rallying cry, and Russell Stamper with an extremely emotional talk there. And just as important as the actions here and punishing those who are responsible, he took to the microphone to say it's just as important to know what caused this, the root causes.
Right. He was talking about people setting fires. It comes from helplessness. And he said our community is in pain. And he vowed to put resources into this community and partner with people who want to make a change. Alderman Rainey was also talking about this being a warning cry, he put it. And he talked about the inequities, the undereducation. All these issues have to be addressed. He said he is not justifying what has happened tonight. He says this is wrong. But there are problems, he said, racial problems that have to be rectified.
We learned a lot of information in that 25-minute press conference. You are looking at live pictures right now. This is 36th and Fond du Lac. That is a BMO Harris Bank. It is one of 4 businesses that were lit on fire tonight in the city of Milwaukee. There are 2 other businesses right around here. There was a beauty supply shop that was also lit on fire, and an O'Reilly auto parts store. And we also saw earlier in the night a BP gas station that was lit on fire. And the Milwaukee Police Department says it does seem like things are calming down now, and that firefighters are being able to get inside these buildings and put these fires out.
Assistant Police Chief James Harpole gave us a little bit more information about what has transpired tonight. He says there have been 3 arrests. He said the estimation of the crowd ranges from 200 to 800 people.
Big difference in those numbers.
Right, a big difference in those numbers. The mayor vowed that there will be a strong presence tonight, and there will continue to be a strong presence tomorrow to keep this neighborhood safe.
They also talked about what really brought all these people out. There was no large protest or a big gathering that started this. It started with an officer-involved shooting at 44th and Hour, and then the mayor and several officials saying it was social media that really sparked this, and that it was incredible to see how many young people especially showed up, as we just said, anywhere between 200 and 800, although they think the 800 number would be a little high. But needless to say, there were hundreds of people who gathered at a moment's notice on a Saturday evening in the city of Milwaukee.
Yeah, he said it was very quickly. Let's hear what the mayor said as he was appealing to parents to get involved.
But this is a situation where we are asking every resident of this community to do everything they can to help us restore order. And that means, again, and this is pointed directly at parents of young people, because you can see from the video there are a lot of young people who are congregating here. If you love your son, if you love your daughter, text them, call them, pull them by the ears, and get them home.
And that is the mayor talking at this news conference. We were talking about, it seemed like things had shifted from Sherman an hour. And that is what had happened.
And now you're seeing live pictures here, 36th and Fond du Lac. Our Rachel Ballion has moved scenes. There's a little bit of a delay here. Rachel, what is the latest? What are you seeing in front of you?
Well, in terms of a crowd out here, there's not a ton of people. We've got some people kind of milling about on the sidewalk, but for the most part, we've mostly just got authorities responding to the fire here at the BMO Harris Bank. I think I've counted about 6 fire engines within sight, and then obviously several police officers, many police officers on scene as well. I did see a building across the street from the bank. There was at least 1, possibly more police officers stationed on the roof with their guns, keeping an eye out, just looking to see what's going on down here in the streets. Like I mentioned, a lot quieter in terms of people on the sidewalks. For the most part, we're just seeing authorities trying to get a handle on the situation at the bank here.
Yep, and I know that building well. That is right on Fond du Lac. That is that historic bank that is now a BMO Harris Bank. Can you tell us about the damage? Does it look like that the bank is a total loss there as our camera now moves back towards that building where fire officials are really working inside? How bad does the damage look to you from your vantage point, Rachel?
So from my vantage point, I am on the opposite side of Fond du Lac, so just probably 25, 30 feet from the firefighters that you should be able to see right now. And so kind of all I can see is that one whole section of the windows has obviously been broken out. Most of my view is obscured by the fire engine that you see in front here. But obviously there's been some damage. How much inside, I guess we'll have to wait until police and firefighters release that information to us.
That is one of 4 buildings that was lit on fire tonight. Also an O'Reilly Auto Parts store, a hair beauty supply, and then the gas station. We've been told 3 people have been arrested. The mayor making a point to say they're going to take all the video from all these businesses, from all the streets, and they are going to arrest the people responsible if they find out who did this. And obviously 3 people in custody. We don't know what they've been arrested for quite yet.
You know, the mayor, going back to how all of this seems to have sparked, and that being with the officer-involved shooting, the mayor did kind of go into some of that at 44th and hour, about 3:30, when the shots were fired. Suspicious vehicle was stopped. Suspects fled from this vehicle where 2 officers were coming at them. 2 suspects fled. One suspect had a gun, and he said that within that gun there were 23 rounds. Now, this officer, not knowing that information, but this officer fired at that person, shot him in the chest and the arm, and the 23-year-old did die. The state of Wisconsin investigating this, which is standard procedure for an outside agency to investigate an officer-involved shooting. But the mayor also said that that officer had a body camera, so that will help in this investigation and better tell exactly what transpired.
The mayor saying this is a great neighborhood. The Sherman Park neighborhood, which is not far from the live scene that you're seeing right now, which is where it all started. He says there's people who've lived there for 30 or 40 years, and they are going to do whatever it takes to keep people safe there. And that is a neighborhood that has seen a whole lot of violence. In the city of Milwaukee, this really started as a story of overnight homicides. When we got to work today, 9 shootings, 5 homicides, and then this afternoon we had our officer-involved shooting. That was at 3:30 as they take a ladder up into the BMO Harris Bank now. And that's when the crowd started to gather outside this officer-involved shooting, and police saying tonight it really was social media. People not from the Sherman Park neighborhood, but people from the rest of other parts of the city who arrived, and they started causing trouble. We had reports of now a better picture of what was damaged tonight. This is one of 4 buildings that were lit on fire, but also the mayor talking about how many police cars were destroyed.
That is true. And there was one vehicle that was destroyed, and then there were 2 squads that had broken windows. And in one of those squads, an officer was inside, and he was injured, taken to the hospital. There was, of course, the BP. We have that, and we have 35th and Burleigh. We have the O'Reilly Auto Parts, a beauty supply store. 36 and Fond du Lac, we have the BMO Harris Bank.
And for some of these locations, the firefighters could not get in right away, and that is because shots were fired, especially at the gas station that we were talking about earlier, close to the Sherman Park, and that allowed that building to burn to the ground. There were 3 people inside the gas station. We are told all 3 made it out okay.
And, you know, we had concerns earlier in the night about potentially danger with that BP fire of it, the explosion, and that was not mentioned. So I guess that seriousness didn't come to pass.
And there are the flames on the left side of your screen that we saw earlier. They did say right now, at this moment, there are fire crews on that location for the first time tonight, and they do say things appear to be calming down. But again, we want to reiterate the message from a couple of our city leaders. If you don't know where your young child is tonight, you need to go find them. Drag them by the ear. That's what the mayor was saying. You need to text them. You need to call them. If you think your teen may be at a friend's house, don't trust them tonight. This is the kind of night you want to know exactly where they are, and you want them to see them and bring them home. And then it was very interesting to talk about the issues. We don't always see that the night of the violence, and we're seeing from some of our city leaders how they were saying that some of these young people feel helpless. That's why they start fires.
And as Alderman Stamper put it, we have a community that is in pain. So they were saying that there are resources. We have to come together as a community, all working together to make this a better place. One, I think it was Rainey who mentioned the fact that I guess a poll or a ranking had it where this Milwaukee is one of the worst places for an African American to live, which is very disconcerting. And they were talking about we have to do a better job of making this happen. We're talking about, you know, building different streetcars and different things like that, and building up our downtown. But we have to make sure that we're including everyone in every parts of the community.
Russell Stamper reading a text message from a friend. That text saying, everyone is playing politics. They are not playing life. Let's go to Fox 6's Ashley Sears. She was live at that press conference. Ashley, what were your takeaways from our community leaders speaking tonight?
And tonight the message was, let's restore calm. We heard from city leaders today saying that if you don't know where your kids are, go out there and find them. You have to be a parent in this situation, and we all have to come together. The mayor saying that he was going to meet with community leaders and church leaders to try and restore some sort of calm, and he said that he's confident that he could do that. He said tonight, you know, this isn't the Milwaukee that he knows and loves, but he's confident that they can pull together.
4 businesses destroyed, and you're seeing one of them live on your picture right now. This is 36th and Fond du Lac. This is the BMO Harris Bank. Rachel Ballion just reporting that she is seeing the firefighters climb on the roof there. Ashley, we are also learning more about the officer-involved shooting, really what started all of this. It sounded from the mayor telling that there were body cameras tonight on the officer who fired the gun. Is that correct?
Yeah, the mayor said that that officer was wearing a body camera. That video currently is in the hands of the State Department of Justice, Department of Criminal Investigations. What they do with that video, they'll analyze it, and it'll be part of their investigation. We don't know if that would be released anytime soon. That is evidence right now.
Yeah, we don't know how long this investigation will actually take. We're told that that young man that was killed is 23 years old. He was shot in the chest and the arm, and he had 23 rounds in his gun when the officer fired on him.
And the mayor speaking earlier really about the violence in the city, and let's listen to that sound now.
We do not want to see any more loss of life. We don't want to see any more injuries, and we're going to stay on this. Our police presence is going to be very strong. We're going to work with the community, and tomorrow we'll be meeting again with church leaders and community leaders because we're going to make an all-out effort to do everything we can to restore order. And this is something that is important to me as mayor. It's important to the city, and I want you to know that this is something that we're going to continue to work on very, very hard.
Unfortunately, he's had to make that kind of speech many, many times.
It was interesting tonight to hear from the city leaders. They didn't just get up there and demand calm. Some of them saying what they wanted to do to help change. And that really came through when Russell Stamper was talking about, I'm going to make sure we have the resources to attack this. And he really him and the mayor will be relying on the faith community to restore some of the calm and order. And a lot of people have helplessness in these, that's what they're saying. They just feel like they are lost, and they wanted to attack the root problem, the root cause of what happened here tonight.
Right. Stamper was saying that people, our community, this community is in pain. And Alderman Rainey, he mentioned, you know, specific things. He talked about inequality, inequity, undereducation. He was saying that these are all issues that have to be addressed, and we have to do it. And he was saying that, you know, he doesn't justify what happened. He doesn't justify these buildings being destroyed, this disturbance that happened tonight. But he says there are definitely problems, and a lot of the problems are racial, and they have to be rectified.
We're learning more about the resources that were brought in all the way from Waukesha County. They brought in one of their Bearcats. That's that big police armored vehicle that we saw on the street. There were 3 of those, one from the sheriff's office here in Milwaukee County, one from the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department, and also the police department has one of those. You heard the mayor talk about kind of the tactics tonight in his press conference. He says as soon as bricks started to be thrown and fires were set and a police officer was injured after a brick was thrown right into his car, hit him in the head. We still are waiting to hear an update on his condition. He said that's when officers kind of took a step back, got into more heavy equipment for their own safety, and then these big vehicles came in as they moved through the streets to restore order.
Right. He was talking about the fact that, you know, we've got to keep the officers safe as well. And, you know, the fire department couldn't get in because of gunshots that were shot off and bricks being thrown. So for a while, the fire department couldn't even get in to tackle the fire.
And speaking of the fire department, you are seeing the help they are getting. On top of that big ladder truck, TOSA. The Wauwatosa Fire Department appears to be in the area and helping as well, and maybe because of the kind of equipment they need. The ladder truck there that they were using to get on top of that building. And then obviously we had 3 at least very large fires tonight and 4 businesses that may have been destroyed. We at least know that the gas station is no longer there and looks like a total loss, and we're still waiting to see how bad the bank is here. These are live pictures right now. Right there on Fond du Lac Avenue of the gas station. Why don't we bring in our Rachel Ballion? Rachel, what are you seeing? It doesn't look like there's a whole lot of activity. It looks like this fire is pretty much under control.
That's kind of what I'm seeing as well. So what we've noticed in the last 5-10 minutes is we saw several firefighters climb up the ladder right in front of you there onto the roof of the building. But beyond that, that's kind of all the activity we've been seeing taking place at the BMO Harris Bank here.
All right, very good, Rachel. We were talking about that news conference, and several people actually spoke, and several of the aldermen and the alderwoman spoke as well. The Common Council President, Ashanti Hamilton, he was talking about a city, a community in turmoil. Let's listen to what he had to say.
Listen, our city is in turmoil tonight, and we all have to work together to restore a sense of calm to this neighborhood. And so we're calling on everyone. We're calling on everyone to do what they possibly can to help restore calm in these neighborhoods. Now, we understand the frustration that many people feel with the police-community relation situation that's happening nationally. But what we want to be able to do is to gather the information. And you have to understand that when we get some information, we're going to share it with the public. There's nothing to hide. We want to make sure that all of the information is going out to people in a timely manner. And we have to go through the process of finding justice.
Common Council President Ashanti Hamilton there. Let's go out to Fox 6's Ashley Sears. She was at that press conference. And Ashley, this all stemming from the officer-involved shooting that you were at earlier this afternoon. And they talked both about some new details in that as well, especially with how many bullets were in the gun that they recovered. And then you hear the officials talking about openness in the investigation as it moves forward.
Yeah, so this all started around 3:30 today. 2 police officers spotted what they call a suspicious vehicle, and they say at that point 2 suspects ran from that vehicle. An officer confronted one of the suspects in a gangway, and we are told that is when the officer shot and killed the man. The man was hit in his chest and his arm, and we are told that that officer was wearing a body camera. That video right now is in the hands of the State Department of Justice Division of Criminal Investigations. They will use that as part of their investigation. If and when that is released, we will certainly have that for you. But right now, this is this is the beginning stages of the investigation, and police are trying to figure everything out. The state DOJ is trying to figure everything out as well.
And there's really no way of really knowing how long it's going to take. Ashley, I know you've covered the Dontre Hamilton case a long time, and wasn't it like 6 months before we had an end to that investigation? As my memory, I'm trying to remember the timeline.
Yeah, I don't remember the timeline. We spent a lot of time with that family, and it took a while, and there was frustration on that family's part. But the DOJ says they do this because they want to do a thorough investigation. So there is no telling exactly how long it will all take.
Absolutely. Well, we want a thorough investigation, definitely.
Right, and the city leaders, some of the aldermen talking about some of the root causes, as much as they want prosecution of those who have burned down some of their neighbors' businesses tonight. They wanted to share, especially Russell Stamper, really what he felt was the root cause of at least at what the people who were out and about were saying why they were doing this. One person, Russell Stamper is saying one person told him that's because they feel like they can't do anything else.
Absolutely, and Barry was talking about this neighborhood, these people who live in this neighborhood. I mean, this is home. They love their home, and they certainly don't want to see it damaged or destroyed. Let's hear the mayor talking about this.
We tell them that we have a strong police presence there. We're going to have a strong police presence there tomorrow. We're going to do everything we can, and we are going to make sure that order is restored in this very, very good neighborhood. This is a neighborhood where there's a lot of people who have lived there 30, 40, 50 years. They deserve to live in a safe neighborhood, and we're going to do everything we can to make that possible.
All right, sounds like things have calmed down considerably now, thank goodness.
And the mayor, his big message was, if you're someone who's a parent out there and your teens are out and about and you don't know where they are, right now is when you need to call them. You need to bring them home. This is video from earlier. This was at the BP gas station near Auer and Sherman, right near Sherman Park, and the gas station went up in flames. The Milwaukee Police Department saying they could not go in because there were shots fired, and the mayor saying he totally understood the decision, safety first. So that gas station burned to the ground. 3 people who were inside got out okay, and you can see several vehicles went up in flames with it.
And that's another way of knowing that things have calmed down considerably, because the fire department is able to get to all of these scenes where these fires have taken place. And they wouldn't be there if they did not feel safe.
The crowds between 200 and 800. They didn't really have a complete grasp on how many people were out there, but they know it was in the hundreds. Fox 6's Ashley Sears was out there from the very beginning, and Ashley, they talked a lot about how social media played a role in growing these crowds so quickly tonight.
Yeah, tonight they had mentioned that there was a call on social media for people to meet in that area, and they said about 200 to 800 people were out there. And part of this disturbance tonight, a total of 3 were arrested so far. We don't know the ages of these people. The mayor spoke tonight about a lot of young people being out there, teenagers. MPD tonight would not say exactly if these people arrested were juveniles, and they anticipate more arrests. They said that they do have surveillance video from some of these businesses where you could see people lighting things on fire, and they will be taking a look at that surveillance, and we anticipate learning more about the arrests tomorrow.
Live picture now, 36th and Fond du Lac. There are several scenes here. 44th and Auer is where the officer-involved shooting happened about 3:30 this afternoon. The mayor says people went then around the corner, lit a police car on fire, as well as another vehicle. They moved to the gas station right there near Sherman Park. That was Auer and Sherman. And then this is a few blocks away at 36th and Fond du Lac. This is the BMO Harris Bank. We've also been told a beauty supply shop and an O'Reilly's Auto Part also damaged by fire tonight. And obviously they believe these crowds were the ones that set them. And we did see the Tosa Fire Department truck has helped out here. The Waukesha County Bearcat, that big personal the armored vehicle was assisting, as well as the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office. And of course, the Milwaukee Police Department has one of those armored vehicles as well. So there were 3 of those roaming around the streets trying to gain control tonight. And it seems now things are finally starting to die out after what has been a very incredible and very sad night for the city of Milwaukee.
Yes, it has. There were a lot of people on the streets. And Assistant Chief James Harpole talked about how all those people came to be.
The crowd grew rapidly. You know, the use of social media, as the mayor mentioned, to, you know, get additional people to the scene, you know, it was amazing just how in such a short period of time, how many people actually showed up. I also think it's really important to note that the neighborhood itself where the shooting occurred was not the source of the individuals that arrived. Individuals came from other places. The neighborhood itself, the block that this incident occurred on, was very calm, and the residents on that block were very respectful and courteous and polite and allowed the police to conduct the investigation, did not interfere, and were helpful with information as we you know, had several witnesses.
So now all of this has happened. Tomorrow's a new day. Hopefully we will move forward and we will tackle some of the things like Alderman Stamper was talking about. We need to start now. We've got to put our resources together. We've got to get with partners throughout the community and work to make a difference and make a change.
And in the meantime, they say there will be a heavy police presence in all of these areas that have been affected around the Sherman Park neighborhood. All these officers from very early on in the day, they knew their shifts would be extended almost indefinitely until things quieted down, which we haven't seen until just about midnight. And now it appears that these fire crews have been able to do their job, and we are not seeing any of the crowds that we saw earlier tonight. We've actually, and as you see that vehicle move away, we haven't seen the large crowds of police that were walking around in the neighborhoods.
No, things have calmed down considerably. Let's listen to what Alderman Russell Stamper had to. Not ready for that one? Okay. Let's continue to talk about what's been going on. Again, Ashley mentioned, and we've mentioned too, there were 3 arrests, and out of 200 to 800 people,
not a lot of people.
3 arrests. That's not too bad.
That's yeah. That's the police say that there's going to be investigators working through all of the videotapes, and just because they weren't apprehended tonight, that doesn't mean that those people who caused this disturbance and unrest and the violence won't be prosecuted at a later date. We do want to tell you, 1 Milwaukee police officer was injured tonight very early on. They say that somebody threw a brick right through his window in his squad car. It hit him in the head. He was being treated at a local hospital for a head injury. We are waiting word on how bad those injuries are. We did not have an update about 50 minutes ago when the mayor was at the podium, but we did make sure we want to bring you. This has been a violent night where people have been hurt. 1 Milwaukee police officer responding to this, taking a brick in the head tonight. There were also reports members, some of our colleagues at other stations and at the newspaper were also attacked, and we were told everybody is okay. And this is the kind of night where obviously we're competition, but there were texts between people that we all know each other. We run into each other. I'm very happy to hear nobody seriously hurt from all of our colleagues around town.
Absolutely. Now let's listen to the soundbite from Alderman Russell Stamper.
We're going to put resources in this budget. I'm on finance. We're going to put resources in this budget, and CBDG is going to work towards organizing this neighborhoods, involving the pastors. Yes, the pastors are a big part of this community. They are the strength of this community. And we're going to partner with people who want to make a difference. Thank you very much.
Short, to the point.
To the point.
To the point.
Tonight is one of those nights where if you're watching television and you're seeing some of these images and you're upset, it's the kind of night we should all ask ourselves, what can we do? What can we do to help these people in our community who feel so helpless? This didn't just get caused out of nothing. These were people who were very angry and very upset, and the aldermen, a couple of them talking about it tonight, some deep-rooted issues that need to be tackled in our communities.
Absolutely. Alderman Rainey put it as a warning cry that was that we see tonight, a warning cry. And in saying that, again, he didn't justify what was happening. He didn't justify burning the buildings and causing the disturbance. But he says there's an underlying problem going on. And he mentioned it as inequities, undereducation. And he was saying these things have to be addressed. And of course, in the midst of that, everyone is calling for the calm tonight. I'm looking at the clock. It's 12:54. And, you know, at the beginning of our 10 o'clock newscast, we say, parents, do you know where your children are?
Every night.
12:54, parents, do you know where your children are? Because they're asking you, get your son, get your daughter in the house.
And Alderman Lewis saying, as a mother, it was so hard to see these images, and saying, echoing the mayor's words, get your children home tonight, and that you really need to have the conversation with your kids. Don't just bring them home and say, oh, great, you're home. You need to talk about what happened tonight, and if your child was not involved, they may have known someone else who was involved, and that conversation between parents and is so important with their kids.
Right. Ashley Sears is still with us, and Ashley, I mean, we saw it, you know, through live and video, but you saw it up close and personal with the aldermen like Russell Stamper and Khalif Rainey. I mean, I saw a lot of emotion in what they had to say.
Yeah, it was very emotional in that room. Once that, you know, the mayor had stopped talking and we thought the news conference was over, Alderman Stamper and Alderman Rainey came back up to the microphone and were very emotional and open about what was taking place. They said that the community is hurting and there is racial divide, and they're not advocating any of this, but they say they're not surprised by it, and now is the time to pull together and call for calm.
And we've seen a lot of groups that are going into communities trying to make a difference and trying to build relationships with young people in the community. They don't always get the airtime that some of the other stories get, but they're out there. And hopefully those people will be able to come to the forefront and we can all get together. Like they were saying in the news conference, it's going to take the whole community to tackle this issue and the problems that are going on here.
I want to go back out to Fox 6's Rachel Ballion. She is right here at 36th and Fond du Lac. That is your live picture on your TV screen. And Rachel, does it look like fire crews may actually be leaving that scene?
That's correct. The first fire engine that we saw leave this scene was just a couple of minutes ago, and literally as soon as this fire truck pulled away, went around the corner, and then we heard them reactivate the siren and take off down the street. So not sure where that crew was headed, but we have been seeing fire trucks leave the scene. The Wauwatosa fire truck that was just kind of kitty corner in front of the bank here has backed up and is in the intersection, and it looks like they're loading up and about to take off. And we've definitely been seeing firefighters pack things back up, and it definitely does look like they're cleaning up and probably heading out soon.
Just got a tweet in from Fox 6's AJ Bayatpour. He says the Jet Beauty Shop is right near that BMO Harris bank there, and he says that is the one that has been damaged. His pictures did not look good now that he is up close, but he's very close to it, so that scene obviously also cleared. Another reminder, and Rachel brought this up here, the crews leaving, sirens going. There are fires in the city of Milwaukee on any given night, and just because that this happened doesn't mean that the crews might have to head to something else that's a bit of a more routine call for them. And with all these resources, that makes tonight very difficult to get to all of the calls and calls for service from both police and fire department that they would normally have to go to anyway.
Yeah, and that's one of the great things about the partnership that the fire departments have with the surrounding communities. And we saw the fire truck from Wauwatosa here. So that's a good thing, too. If Milwaukee is totally busy, then some adjacent community can come in and help out, and vice versa.
And if you've got a ladder truck and you know there are 3 big fires, you're going to help your friends over in Milwaukee and send your ladder truck and vice versa. Actually, all of our communities here in southeast Wisconsin work so well together. You're still seeing the police officers in the street with their heavy gear on, but you can see putting it away, and they look pretty relaxed, especially compared to what we saw earlier when they were talking out of their loudspeaker and saying everyone must disperse. It does look like people have dispersed. Fox 6's Rachel Ballion, I want to go back to you. I see a couple people hanging out on the corners, but it doesn't look like there's large crowds there anymore.
That's correct. So when we first got out on scene here, it was definitely much quieter than the location we'd been at previously. There've been some people out and about on the sidewalks, but generally not too many. The group just across the street on the corner there is probably the biggest we've seen, and there's not that many people over there. And really in the last